Good afternoon and welcome again to our first online event. Apologies again for what happened earlier. We'll try and do something else in the future to avoid the unfortunate hacking that took place. So no further ado, I'll introduce Holly, who's very kindly leading today's session. Holly undertook a Nuffield in 2015, looking at practical tools for personal and team development, and gained sponsorship from the Frank Parkinson Agricultural Trust in 2016 to introduce a program based on mindfulness tools and goal-setting techniques within farmers and the rural sector. Holly ran a pilot study to measure and observe what benefits these practices bring to farmers and the agricultural sector workers, and found the results were extraordinary and consistent, showing averages of a 20% increase in purposeful focus, a 25% increase in positive state of mind, a 26% increase in self-discipline, and a 19% reduction in stress, which are brilliant statistics. So over to you, Holly, and I hope we all enjoy.
Thanks, Charlotte. So hi, everybody, and again, thanks for bearing with us. So just a little bit about me. I'm a big fan of knowing your why. If you don't know why you're doing something at any time in your life, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. So my background, a family business I was working in, and took sabbatical to do my Nuffield Scholarship. We had 120 staff, and I wasn't actually really managing much of the company, and we diversified. We had a farm shop, cookery school, conference facilities, and a restaurant, and we also had the base arable farming as well operation. But I was doing sales, marketing, events, so there was a lot of managing people, as I say, but I wasn't in a management position, so leadership was essential. And I was lucky enough to be supported by the family to take a lot of leadership training, which was great, and I learned lots of knowledge and I had experiences. But I found that quite often after that initial motivation wore off, from whatever I'd learned or happened, I would kind of come back to square one. So I was really, really interested in behavioural change. And as I say, my scholarship was around practical tools. What can we actually do to change that? I came across mindfulness, and I found that this was really effective for that. In terms of behaviour change, it gave me the space to look at it, and it gave me the focus to drive forward. The other thing I'm a massive fan of is vision. I knew that vision was essential in my own life and in what I wanted to achieve in the company, but I wanted to understand why. And through looking at quite a lot of psychology, I've understood why. And I suppose for me, that has gone from knowing that a car makes my life easier because I can get from A to B quicker, but now I know actually how the engine works, and I can maintain it and I can fix it if it goes wrong. So I wanted to share that with everyone else. And today is really about hearing the why from three guys who have taken the Focus Farmers program. So enough about me. We'll start off with Rob Bebbington. So Rob, he's a 2009 scholar, and he studies collaborative partnerships, and then he put what he learned into action. And he's formed a collaborative contract operation, arable contract operation, with 6 other farmers. He's also, over the past few years, developed Alderford, and that's a 49-acre site which is home to Alderford Lake, and it's a really popular destination site. They hold regular events and attractions, and Rob opened a coffee shop bistro in 2011. And whilst his business has had to close due to COVID, he is currently making the most of it, and he's knocking down walls and expanding the bistro to make way for extra dining covers for reopening whenever that may be. So Rob, I wonder if you can just tell us a bit about why did you come to the Focus Farmers program, and how you use the tools that you learned in your own life, and what difference it's made, if anything.
I suppose I came to the Focus Farmers program really by accident. After you gave your paper, it was really quite interesting how the room was sort of split 50-50, and there were those people that left the room saying, well, that's a bit of a silly thing to be doing, it's not a Nuffield subject, and blah blah blah. And then there was a load of us that sort of sat there and went, wow, that sounds fantastic, I'm sure there's a load in that. And from that point, I suppose I signed up to find out a bit more, because I felt like I was treading water and probably wasn't as focused as I was when I started the cafe and things like that. So I suppose I came to it as a bit of a guinea pig when you sort of said, right, anybody put your hands up if you're interested. I suppose it was a big learning curve, that, in that I was, you know, Charlotte talked about the percentages of increase and this, that and the other. I'm not very good at sort of understanding percentages and things like that, but I could just see a difference straight away in all of the bad stuff was just sort of flowing over me, and I was able to just ignore a lot of the noise and focus on what was really important to me, which I wasn't able to do before. You know, I'm a bit of a flatliner. Every relationship, as my wife and I say, has a psycho and a flatliner, and I'm the one that's sort of the steady one, and she's the sort of the up and down. And I suppose it just allowed me to ignore all that noise of just general day-to-day life and concentrate on those 2-3 important things. Even if it's just one important thing that you want to achieve out of that day, make sure that you do that one thing. And actually you can keep ticking off a whole load of things rather than getting drawn into the day-to-day noise of life.
And how do you use what tools or practices that you learned through the Focus Farmers program? What are they and how do you use them? So what does that look like in your life?
So in real life, I probably should be doing a lot more. In that I know everybody says, oh, it's good to do every day, and I suppose I'm like I was at school. I'm a really bad person for doing as I'm told. What should you be doing? Sorry, Rob, what should you be doing every day? I'm just kind of aware that some people might be thinking, okay, what are the tools? So should be doing this sort of daily meditation and just taking control of your brain and just resetting, so that all that noise of all those thoughts that go on a daily basis, that you can turn them off and just concentrate on, be it the bird song, the skylarks that are in the background here, or just that smell of your coffee. Just really take and concentrate on something very simple, your breathing. And I'm not going to start and light joss sticks and sit cross-legged on the floor, but it is just as simple as that. And we talked about a new one the other day, just the simple things in life, like making your breakfast. Concentrate on getting the bowl, getting the spoon, and I found that just doing that of a morning where I completely focus on one thing, I'm not opening the wrong drawer. I'm not walking around thinking of 20 things in my head and doing none of them well. And it's just taking that little bit of control, just for a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, just sit down and just close your eyes, just take a few good deep breaths, and away to go again. And I suppose that's all I do. And I don't, probably, you know, if you lived with me, you wouldn't know what I was doing and what I was thinking. But I just find now that I turn up more for my children, for my wife. I'm, you know, when I am actually there, I'm not thinking about another 100 things. I'm thinking about what we're trying to achieve at that point in time. And I suppose that's all. I don't know if I'm any easier to live with, but I'm probably a lot more focused on what's actually going on in front of me.
That sounds brilliant. So if I bring in Dan now, so Dan Burdett. So Dan's a 2019 scholar. He's going to be presenting this year, we hope. Hopefully. Hopefully, I'm sure we're Nuffields, we'll find some way to do it. So Dan is looking at how can we make regenerative agriculture happen in the UK, something personally dear to my own heart. He's third generation organic dairy farmer from West Sussex, and he's running 2 units on a contract farming basis. He, while setting up the new unit, which he's done at the same time as his Nuffield Scholarship, Dan's been working hard to integrate new staff within both dairy operations, and he's dealing with a recent outbreak of TB and upgrading infrastructure on both farms. So Dan, maybe just a little bit the same for you, why you came to the process, because Dan wasn't actually one of the original pilot people. Dan came later, definitely off his own volition. He didn't need any poking from me. And yeah, a little bit the same, Dan, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, well, I saw it in Farmers Weekly, Holly, a piece in there, and I did the free trial and watched the videos. And Willie, who does some of the mindfulness training with us, and it just got me thinking that my mind is just cluttered the whole time. I'm never concentrating on one thing. I start one job, don't finish it, move on to the next thing. And so I just needed to try and organize my mind a bit better, to try and be a bit more effective at work. And also a bit like following on from Rob, it's about shutting off at home, you know, constantly wanting to be at work. When I'm at home, all I'm thinking about is work. So actually just being aware of that, making my mind aware of it. So those are the reasons that I got into it.
And how do you use the meditation, or sometimes I know we call it mental training because it doesn't sound so crazy or scary, but the formal exercises, because you, I think, use it quite differently to Rob.
Yeah, I guess, well, I try, yeah, I mean, for a long time, I'd just get up in the morning and do it. And I think I was just becoming part of my daily routine. I try and use it a bit more now through the day, where I know when I've having difficult moments, or I realize, I think that one of the great things that's come out of it is that I realize when the noise in my head is getting so loud that I need to just stop and, you know, just take a minute or 5 minutes, or I need to go for a walk and, you know, whatever, just focus on one thing rather than trying to focus on everything going on at once. You know, the last few months is it's been really helpful, and it's kept me at a level keel through that.
And just a little bit about TB, Dan, because that is probably every dairy farmer's worst nightmare. Do you think it's made a difference in this experience? I know it's hard to say sometimes because
in how I'm dealing with it.
TB, have you?
Yeah, I guess it's, you know, other than the odd swear word when we get the results, I think it's just helped think, right, okay, well, what can I do? You know, like, it's all about that circle of influence and circle of concern. And, you know, like, I worry about the things that I can sort out. So the result is the result, really. And it's just helped me think, right, you know, take a step back and be able to plan for the things that I'm in charge of. So it's definitely helped me, rather than just running around like a headless chicken. It's helped me just take the time to think through the whole picture and what I'm in charge of. And if I'm not in charge of it, then I don't worry about it too much.
That's brilliant. And the 3 days wait, how is that for you? The 3 days of hell, as people describe it.
Right. Yeah, I guess, again, the same sort of thing, Holly. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, I try and say to the guys, we keep the stress away from the cows, but I don't think that makes much difference. Yeah, we just, whatever the result will be. You know, I thought the first lot was some sort of accidental results, and it was a mistake. And then the second one, I'm thinking, okay, I think we're really in this now. So nothing surprises me anymore. You know, and if we get good results, then that's great. But I'm prepared for, you know, we're able to plan for the worst now.
That's brilliant. And I think similar to Rob, I remember when we first spoke, you said how much your wife became frustrated because you never let work go. Has that changed for you?
it's better, but I'm still on that journey. I guess it's been interesting recently. The kids are, I mean, we're lucky because our kids are at school 3 days a week, but the 2 days that they're here, it's still pretty intense. And yeah, I think with the COVID and TB, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I am still preoccupied, but I'm more aware of it. And so at least if you're aware of it, it's the first stepping stone to doing something about it. It's when you're not aware of it, that's when the trouble appears.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Thank you. And Mark, finally let you in, Mark. Thought we should. We thought we should. So Mark is a 2005 scholar, and he undertook his study covering nutrients and soil management, soil manure. And his background was in farm management on mixed estates, primarily in dairy arable, where his interest in soil manure management was sparked. So regenerating soils on a 1,000-hectare estate showed how the care of the soil can pay huge dividends. So Mark now runs his own consultancy for the last 15 years, providing soil and nutrient advice to both farmers and agronomists across all sectors of the industry. He travels widely across the UK, or did up until a few weeks ago, with the occasional foray further afield. So Mark, again, the same as you undertook the Focus Farmers programme 3 years ago now. And what's that journey look like for you?
Yeah, I finally caved into your bullying. No, that's not right. I recognised that I was in a position where I actually needed to do something about my mental fitness. I'd had 3 less than positive life experiences or life events that, it's no secret, took me into an area of quite extreme depression and anxiety at times, and I recognised that I needed to do something about it. And the whole program started to pull me out of that and stop me dwelling on, as Rob said, the noise that happens when you start to get into these downward spirals. And what it helped me achieve, I've often said, is the valleys are no longer as deep as they once were. Little coals that I can pull myself out of very, very quickly. And I think that's the whole mental fitness side of things has really made quite a difference to myself and my emotions, and helped control that depression and anxiety. And I think the point with mental fitness is constant practice. It's the same with any fitness. It's constant exercise. And I think initially, after having used the program and the videos and the consultations with Willie, I experimented with other avenues. Used Headspace, the app, widely known app. And reading something in the paper actually about Headspace the other day, and some people get really positive reactions from it, and some get very negative. And I certainly found that you have to choose the route you're going down with an app like that, and it has to. If you're not happy with the route that it's taken, you stop and do something else, because it is about your mental fitness, and it's about how you want it to work, how you want to reduce the noise. For me, in terms of the practicalities of it, it's very much been, I'm better if I do it at the beginning of the day. That really helps me level out, and I'm ready to start the day. I find if I kind of do an hour's work first and then do it, my mind is racing when I'm doing any meditation. So it is better if it's at the beginning of the day. But during the day, when I go off kilter, it's good to use some mini meditations to get me back on. It's just step back. stop doing something that's really chewing at you. And I think after maybe 30 years of hard work, I'm beginning to realize that I do need to take a break every now and again. And actually, I think this is something we can teach the younger generations a little bit more, is, you know, actually you do need a break. Holidays are important, breaks are important. We beat ourselves up about achieving things. And I think the farming industry is particularly good at martyrdom when it comes to work. And we do have to stand back, at least see the wood from the trees. So, you know, I think that's one of the key things I've found, and that just that 15-minute break of meditation, maybe shorter sometimes, just gives me a degree of clarity. So I think, you know, that's kind of how I've used it and how I continue to use it. And it is continual practice and continual observance to it in a way. I think initially when I started doing it, you know, I really did focus on it for a good long time. And I think my best run was probably 40 days continuously. I wouldn't say I do that at the moment, but I think I had to get into a position where my mind was steady, where I was more focused and was beginning to realize where I needed to go and what I needed to let go of. And I think that's the good thing about the meditation. And I wouldn't say I've cracked it yet by any stretch, but it's a case of letting go of those things that are really disturbing you. And that's what I continually try to do.
That's brilliant. And then I think coming back to them when you are in your best state of mind, of course. I wonder if people want to put questions now for the last sort of, I think we started about 1:45, so if we carry on till about 1:15, is that okay with you, Charlotte? If people want to put questions in the chat, perhaps Charlotte can pull those out. Whilst people are doing that, I'm going to pose another question to all three of you, really. Focus Farmers isn't just about mindfulness. What I've found is that I think mindfulness on their own can make you a bit lazy, actually. It's a mindfulness-based program, which is looking at developing focus coupled with goal setting. And as I said earlier, that goal setting, having that vision is vital. So the question is, do any of you handwrite your goals? Or if not, how do you goal set?
I better start, Holly.
Yeah.
Because I don't, as yet, I'm not very good at writing things down. But I guess in a way that hasn't stopped me. You know, since we started doing this, I've taken on the other farm, which was something which I wanted to do. You know, we've been looking to do for quite a long time, and so yeah, and you know, I was already accepted as a Nuffield scholar, but that was something else. You know, I guess for me, I've got those things written down in my head. But it has been a really key part of it is kind of going back and seeing what's important. So yeah, still something to work on for me.
Cool. And Mark?
Yeah, I kind of tentatively write them every now and again, but I might write one somewhere and then forget where it is. And I've kind of got goals, but I wouldn't say that's the most focused area of what I've done with the program.
It's a journey. And Rob, I know that you do a particular way because you're also not a fan of writing. How do you do it?
Well, yeah, I can't really write much. I can't spell either, which makes me draw pictures. So I tend to draw pictures, do a visual thing as to what I see happening in the future. And that tends to work for me. Everybody's different. There's no right or wrong. So it's just a case of I'll draw a picture of, I've drawn a picture of almost a 20-year plan. Yeah, that tends to work for me, but also short-term goals as well, as sort of you well know from this morning's picture that I sent you, Holly.
Yeah. So just, it's really hard to obviously explain this in a few short moments, but the goal setting is around using a particular technique to take psychological snapshots. And this is a prelude to a 3-session workshop events that Nuffield are going to host in the coming weeks. So I do hope people come back. We had a question from Natalie, I think, saying, how long does it take you to see an effective change from mindfulness? And just to clarify, mindfulness is slightly different to meditation, but meditation is the scientifically proven way to develop mindfulness. So how long did it take you guys to see a difference either from meditation or practicing mindfulness tools?
For me, if I go first, I don't know, but we sort of did an online, I don't know what you call it, but just a series of events online. But actually it started by explaining how your brain worked. And actually I learned a lot as to how my brain worked sort of straight away. And then linking it with, I don't know, mindfulness or meditation, whichever it is, I don't know. But actually when you understand how your brain works and you start and do it, you sort of start and see results. I suppose I saw results within the first 2 weeks, and I started doing it at a real sort of a low patch for myself. And I think if I'd have not done it then, I would have gone very much downhill, but actually I went uphill and never looked back really. So yeah, I saw results within a couple of weeks, I suppose.
Dan and Mark?
Yeah.
I think oh, go on, Dan.
Sorry.
Dan, you go first.
Yeah, I think pretty quickly actually, because like I said before, you just suddenly realize what a load of noise is going on in your head. It's like, it's unbelievable when you sit there and someone's saying to you, right, just focus on your breathing. And then part of it is, look, it's inevitable that the load of other stuff has come into your head. So you need to stop and take a deep breath and go back. And almost instantly you think, wow, yeah, my head is full of just really useless rubbish and like going round and round. So that is pretty quick actually. And I think it's about training that part of your brain to work on that and to keep the gaps between the noise, make them bigger. So yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Mark?
I think what both of the others have said is that yes, you do start to see changes quite quickly, and particularly in the way you actually carry out your daily chores, the way you are, how you do your work. But I think it was particularly pertinent when is it the MMI test that you do? When that came back for me from the initial one to the you'll have to explain to everybody what that is, Holly. When the second one came back, it just showed how less spikier I was than I had been before. So hopefully becoming slightly more rounded and less emotional.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So the MMI is a measurement that we use. So the stats that Charlotte gave are actually quantitative data that we've been able to manage. Ian Tremaine asked, is the handwriting important rather than type goals? Yes, because something about that hand-eye coordination is more impactful on taking this psychological snapshot. And Alice has asked so this is to Rob or Mark, perhaps we'll just have one of you. What do you think the resistance to writing your goals comes from? Bearing in mind that you hang out with people who say how impactful it is.
Something that we did with our sessions, initially was how we've got these problems that are built into us from childhood. And I think mine comes from that, in that I've never been able to spell, and people have always laughed at me for my spelling, and so therefore I don't do it. So you might be this, that and the other, but actually all it comes down to is probably one incident when I was 5 when somebody laughed their head off at me writing something, so therefore I tend to not do it. I got an A for art at school. It's the only A I got. I failed everything else. So for some way, I suppose I'm better at drawing than I am at spelling. So don't take it as a negative that I can't spell and can't read and write or whatever very well. Concentrate on your positives, do what you're good at, and don't worry about it, and just get on with it and play to your strengths rather than your negatives. So that's why I do pictures.
Yeah, and it's okay to do pictures, and it has the same effect. So what you're doing is you're bringing the unconscious mind into the now. We spend so much time either living in the past of something that happened or living in the future, and your unconscious mind can't tell the difference between past, present and future. So this handwriting or drawing pictures is focusing the mind into the now. So just say the handwriting is actually writing it as if you're experiencing that goal or vision in the moment. So either Dan or Mark, what's the resistance to doing that exercise? I struggle as well.
I think one of the resistances for me is slightly down to the way my brain operates, and it's the same with writing reports as well. I tend to not write a lot of notes on reports. It might be a load of research, and then once I've distilled my thoughts, I will then write it down. So I suppose it's just the way I operate a little bit, and it's a degree of making certain that I'm writing, in my part, writing the goals down that are actually my goals, rather than a load of drivel before I get there.
Yeah, brilliant. Because I think the two important things is knowing where you're going and this moment right now. If it gets consumed in the bit in the middle, it becomes overwhelming, and we don't want to face that. Last question, because we are running over time. So somebody's asked, what are the 2 skills that have really helped you focus during this challenging time? Mark, do you want to go first? 2 quick fire skills.
I mean, I think the main one is, well, there's 2 things: realizing that there's a requirement to do it, realizing, you know, there's a requirement to still your mind, and the second is actually carrying it out and doing it on a daily basis. Brilliant.
And Dan, with your double challenging time?
Yeah, just helping me stay calm. I think as long as I stay calm, then my brain operates properly. As soon as it starts, you know, stressing and looking for the next thing that's going to stop working, then the longer term plans go out of the water. And through all this, I've got to keep thinking of the longer term, because my business won't operate if all I'm thinking about is tomorrow and next week. It's got to think about 6 months time. So just being calm enough to be able to see that. And although I haven't written those down, they're in my head, you know, like, and they're in a part of my head which I can grab hold of and go back to every time.
Yeah, I'm very much the same as you. So Willie Horton, the psychologist that co-runs this program with me, I sort of say the same to him. I use that visualization part of my brain, but I have started writing more down. And Rob, the 2 most important tools that you're using?
There's a whole list of them, but 2 most important. Just worry about what you can change. Certainly don't worry about anything else that you can't. Try and achieve, you know, 1 goal a day. There's just so many little nuggets and lessons that, yeah, I can't say that there's 2. I mean, I still think I'm the worst person at meditating ever, because I really still, even after all this time, I find it really hard to turn my brain off. But just for those few seconds, if I can do it, it's golden.
That's brilliant. And for me, I am obviously going to say that the tool of formally meditating, formal mental training has been my bedrock through this time, and I'm loving lockdown. And so we should, as I say, we can care and be compassionate about the things that are going on, but worrying about it and thinking over and over again is not helping any of those people. So the only thing we have control over in our lives is our own state of mind and our actions and behavior. So I hope everybody's enjoyed the session. The videos are at focusfarmers.com. They're free. It's a free series. There's 12 sessions, and I'm working on getting some other resources online as well. My details are on there. Feel free to get in touch. And I want to thank Rob, Dan, and Mark for their time and pioneering something in agriculture. I think, you know, I do meet a few closet meditating farmers along the way. So it's amazing that you sat here and talked about what you do in public, but I think that just shows the confidence in what you do. Back to you, Charlotte, and thank you, Nuffield.
Absolutely. I'll just very quickly wrap things up with saying a huge thank you to Holly, especially for pulling all of this together. Mark, Dan and Rob, brilliant, informative session, and it's certainly given me a huge amount of food for thought. As Holly said, do contact her, contact me. You should all have my email. But if not, it's charlotte@nuffieldScholar.org. And of course, I will just apologise again for how the meeting started, but hopefully you all had a brilliant and informative time once we got up and running a little bit more securely. Thank you very much, everyone, and safe rest of your day.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's been great. Really good. I'm going to sign up for the next session.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you, Holly. Be good.
Take care, everybody.